Welcome back, everybody. When we think of holiday baking, things like cookies and pies come to mind. But our next guest is here to put brunch bakes on our festivity radars.
Here with simple and delicious recipes to add some homemade love to your holiday brunches is Toronto baker Colin Asuncion. Welcome back to the show.
Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super pumped to talk about my favorite meal of the day, brunch.
Well, you know what? Jess and I do love baking, so let's get baking and tasting. First up, you've made a stunning ginger molasses bundt cake. So tell us about this cake that you made while we get to taste it.
Absolutely. So, I personally think that every celebration needs a cake, even in the morning, even brunch. So today we have a ginger spiced molasses bundt cake, similar to a coffee cake. It has nice warm spices, a delicious whiskey glaze on top, really festive, really comforting. And something interesting about this cake and the batter and the work that goes into this cake is there's hot water in the batter, which you don't often find in all baked goods. And the hot water adds a really nice smooth and soft texture so that every bite is absolutely delicious and feels really good in the mouth.
In my mouth right now. Sorry, one sec. Now, I've got to ask you something. This tastes infinitely better than any bundt cake I've ever made, and I think it's because I'm using the wrong pan. It's kind of a cheap, thin pan, and so it comes out not as moist as this, and usually a little overcooked. So do you have any tips for me?
Absolutely. So, the cookware, the bakeware is very, very important. Good tools are key in the kitchen. So if your cake pan is a little thin, or if maybe you're using one of those disposable pans as well, like that can really contribute to over baking your cake. Also, and I always say this, every oven is different. Ovens are like snowflakes. They are unique, and some run a little hotter, some run a little cooler. So if you find that you're following every recipe to a T and everything is still coming out a little bit overbaked, maybe try reducing your bake temperature by 20 to 25 degrees and see if that helps. When you're making a cake and you're doing that poke test with the toothpick, try that 5 to 7 minutes before the end of the bake time, and then maybe your cake is done before the recipe says it does.
What about presentation and decorating in a simple but elegant way? Any tips?
Absolutely. So a bundt cake, because it is round and it's ring shaped, it's sort of like a wreath. And so you can adorn it any which way you like. We've got, of course, those nice stripes of glaze, and you could put on top sugared rosemary, sugared cranberries. You could put on cinnamon sticks, star anise. Or like the one that I sent to the studio today, you can adorn it with some nice handmade cookies or store-bought cookies if that's what you prefer. Whatever you choose, just make it yourself, make it unique, and make it showcase your personality.
Gorgeous.
Okay, we're gonna move on to some scones. These are orange cranberry scones. They look super festive. So tell us about them.
I love orange cranberry. I love that as a flavor combination. They really sing together. You got that tang of the orange and that tartness of the cranberry. They work so well together. So these orange cranberry scones, they've got orange zest in the dough. They've got a nice citrus glaze, and of course, those cranberries. You can use fresh or you can use frozen. And a tip that I have for making the perfect scone is keep your butter cold and make sure that when you're cutting your butter into your flour mixture, whether it's with a pastry cutter or by hand, work quickly, because those little chunks of solid butter will make for a nice tender and flaky scone texture once it's baked.
These are delicious, but another question about shape here. Do they have to be a triangle? Can I make them any shape I want?
You can make them any shape you like. The world is your oyster. You choose your own adventure. They could be squares. They could be circles. They could be mounds, like a drop scone for a more rustic shape. Anything you like, you choose your destiny. That's what I say.
Tell us about the glaze and what flavor worked well with like the cranberry and the orange.
So I did a lemon glaze. So it's just very simple icing sugar with a little bit of lemon juice. You could, of course, do orange juice, or like with the bundt cake, you could do a boozy glaze and do like a whiskey or a bourbon or a gin glaze. Again, the world is your oyster. Try something new.
Well, we are going to try something new because the other scone that you brought, it's more savory than sweet. It's got some smoked salmon and herbs in it. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, that's right. On a brunch spread, I think you need a good balance of sweet and savory so that we don't go all into sugar shock. So these ones, there's smoked salmon and there's chives, dill, and parsley. But you can, of course, choose another flavor combination. You could do bacon and pumpkin. You could do ham and cheese, or you could do sun-dried tomato and Parmesan. Savory options. Like there's so many different options to choose from and make it your own.
You know what? You can't have a brunch without a muffin, according to a lot of people. You've made a classic. Tell us about these lemon poppy seed muffins.
Yes, lemon poppy seed really is a classic. You'll find that there's a lot of citrus desserts around the holidays, around the wintertime, because we're so lucky that we can access citrus fruit all year round. And these muffins, they've got a punch of lemon flavor with lemon zest in the batter. There's a nice lemon glaze on top, and then more lemon zest adorning the top of those muffins for a little bit of color and more lemon flavor.
Okay.
And a tip that I've got for the perfect muffin is to mix it by hand to make sure that you're not over mixing so that you've got a nice light and soft muffin texture.
These are gorgeous, but I'm especially excited about this next one because I love strawberry shortcake, but you've elevated this classic treat by making individual dark cherry shortcakes. These look gorgeous. Tell us about them.
Absolutely. I love an individual dessert at brunch or any meal. I find it very, very refined, a little bit more elevated, very, very chic. And, we've seen strawberry shortcake a million times, but I say dark cherry shortcake is the new girl in town. So we've got a nice buttery biscuit, sweet Chantilly cream, and then macerated cherries on top. You can use fresh, frozen, or you can even get those canned cherries in the syrup for a nice holiday shortcut.
That is, it's so fluffy. I had an accident while you were on camera.
Oh, no.
I think it is a tragedy that I wasted this Chantilly cream.
I'll get it later.
And I
Don't
wonder
worry.
if I cost us a big cleaning bill.
Speaking about dogs and patios.
Colin, the one that I've been eyeing this whole time, which also means we're almost at near the end of our segment, is this cheesy herb soda bread. You say it's the easiest thing to make. Why is that?
It is so easy. I'm just giggling because of your mishap. That is so funny. But, live television, people. So the soda bread, it's a quick bread. And just like the name suggests, it's very quick to come together. It doesn't involve yeast. It doesn't involve a sourdough starter like so many breads that people have been making during the pandemic. It gets its rise from baking soda and cream of tartar. So you just mix those ingredients together, throw in some cheese, throw in some herbs, or, whatever inclusions you like, throw it in the oven, and you have a delicious, warm, fresh loaf.
See, this is exciting news because yeast scares me. And I am always turned off by trying to make my own bread. I know, shocking, because of that. So I'm definitely going to try to make this. But I need to backtrack. What makes Chantilly cream Chantilly cream?
So Chantilly cream, it's just a fancy way of saying sweetened whipped cream. So we've got some icing sugar and a little bit of vanilla in our whipped cream. And when you're whipping cream for your shortcakes or anything else, make sure that your whipped cream is really cold, or your whipping cream is nice and cold, because that will ensure that you get nice stiff peaks once whipped.
Gorgeous.
It's so gorgeous it should not be on our carpet.
Kwame is so mad at me.
Yeah. Kwame is probably, hey, what's the holidays without a little accident? You know what? To go back to the cheesy soda bread, though, there's an X on top of it. What's with that X?
So we're scoring the top of our loaf to ensure that the heat, once it's in the oven, can really meet the middle of the loaf. It's a thick, girthy kind of loaf. You want to make sure that the heat is distributed evenly so you get the perfect bake.
Ooh, girthy. I love that. Oh my God, Colin, thank you so much for these sweet and savory suggestions for holiday brunch bakes. I'm sorry, girthy desserts? Sounds like it's so up my alley. Listen, guys, to find these girthy recipes, head to our social media channels after the show. And don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.